Thank you, Kristen. All right. And so this training today is going to be a 102 training to kind of clarify the difference between 101 and 102. On 101, what we cover is how to create an Energy Star portfolio account, how to add your building to that account, and then how to add your energy and water consumption to your Energy Star. For benchmarking 102, it's just going to be covering Energy Star, anything that we can troubleshoot on there. If there are any errors that come up on your end, we're going to go ahead and cover the most common errors and how to resolve those. And then we'll also cover how to submit your report today as well. But let's see here. If it'll go. Oops, sorry. Going back. Okay, so for the agenda, we're just going to go over the BE305 program a little bit with a little intro to benchmarking. We'll then cover the two compliance pathways with the program and then what you need to report. Afterwards, we'll go into the live demo, which will then I'll show you how to troubleshoot anything with an Energy Star, just some of the main issues that end up coming up. So hopefully you guys can learn a little bit from that. And then once we fix all our errors, we'll go ahead and submit the data to the city. Then we'll come back to the PowerPoint and I'll talk about what to expect after submitting a report. We'll share some resources and then leave some time at the end for a Q&A. If you guys have questions throughout the presentation, just go ahead and enter it into the chat and Kristen will go ahead and answer that through the chat. But if you want to unmute yourself at the end, we can go ahead and just ask questions for everybody. So to cover a little bit what BE305 is, it's a benchmarking program focused on large existing buildings, public and private, and you go ahead and you submit an annual energy and water report. Building benchmarking, it's a widely adopted practice for tracking the energy performance of a building over time. By measuring the building's energy use and comparing it to the average consumption of similar building owners, you can better understand the building's relative energy performance and then identify opportunities to cut energy waste. So to kind of cover a little bit about the time frames, everything from 100,000 to 200 and larger, it's due this month, or I guess next month, June 30th, 2024. If your building's between 50,000 and 99,000, then it's going to be due this year in October. And then next year, by October, it'll be anything between 20 and 49. So there are two compliance pathways within the program. The first is a typical pathway, which is submitting an annual benchmarking report. This is going to be through your Energy Star portfolio manager. So you go ahead and this is what you'll do to set up an account and add all the energy and water consumption within your account. And then you submit the report to the city. Submitting the initial report is the most time consuming, but moving forward, the process just becomes simpler and quicker as you get to understand the website a little bit more and the steps that need to be taken in order to be in compliance. The second compliance pathway is to request an exemption. So oops, so sorry, I don't know what I did there. For an exemption, they are only valid for 1 year. And so if you believe your building is going to need an exemption for this year, once you're approved, you will need to, for next year, either apply for another exemption or submit a benchmarking report. A few examples for why you would qualify for an exemption would be if the building did not have a certificate of occupancy, or if it had a demolition permit within the 12 months, within the time frame of the reporting period. So if any of this was applicable to your building in the 2023 calendar year, then you would be up for an exemption. Some other reasons would be if your property did not receive a full 12 months of energy or water service. So if, let's say, your building didn't receive energy service from October through December of last year, then you would qualify. or if your building was less than 50% occupied within the calendar year of 2023. So these are just a few things that you'll need for reporting if you're going to submit a benchmarking report. The first is creating an Energy Star portfolio account. This is a free benchmarking tool, as I'm sure you guys are familiar with if you've created your account already. You will need your building's information. So adding the square footage of your building, the year the building was built, just some details really regarding the building itself. And then the most important is needing to attach, well, first having a Miami building ID and then attaching it to your Energy Star account. Every building is assigned a unique ID, which is required, because if your building ID is not attached into your Energy Star account and you submit that report, we will not receive it. And so it's very important that we attach that to the Energy Star account, which we'll be going over in the live demo. All right, and then after you've added that, you'll need your whole building energy and water usage. So you can go ahead and request this usage from the utility providers. They'll send you aggregated data for your specific building from the calendar year 2023. And you'll need to go ahead and upload that into your Energy Star meters. And then once you have your building created and all your energy and water usage applied, that's when you'll need to follow this specific reporting link to submit a benchmarking report. If your buildings are due, if you have, let's say, multiple buildings, some of them are due in June and some of them are due in October, it is going to be the same reporting link. Every reporting year will have a new link. So for next year, this is going to say 2025 Miami benchmarking. So you can use the same link for any of the buildings that are due this year. And like I said, we will go ahead and submit the report on our live demo. So I'll walk you through how to use this link and how to submit that report to the city. All right, thank you for listening to this. We're gonna go ahead and go through the live demo on Energy Star. Then we're gonna come back and just walk through what to expect after you submit a benchmarking report. So let's go ahead and sign into our Energy Star account. If you go to energystar.gov/building/benchmark, if you haven't already, you can go ahead and create an account on the right-hand side here, or you can go ahead and just log in. Since we're already logged in, this is what my dashboard looks like for my Energy Star. As you can see, I had 6 properties already created. What we're going to be doing is just reviewing how to troubleshoot for a specific property. So going into the Miami building here, as you see, there are some exclamation points on the details tab and the energy tab. For today's demo, we're going to be reviewing 3 to 4 errors on the details tab and how to resolve those, and about 3 to 4 errors on the energy tab and how to resolve those as well. But theoretically, let's say I created all of this, I added all my energy and water meters, I added everything I need before submitting a report. What you'll do before submitting is you're going to run the data quality checker, which is on our how-to guide. And also we have videos offered on our Miami website with videos on how to walk you through this. So before submitting, you want to run the data quality checker on the summary tab here, which you can check for possible errors. What we're looking for to check for errors are going to be from everything from the calendar year 2023. So we're going to go ahead and say we want to look from everything from January to December 31st, 2023. We're going to run this and see if there are errors. Okay. As you can see here, we do have a number of errors, or I guess what I would like to call them is call them as alerts instead of errors. The yellow exclamation point indicates that something is atypical for the property and its associated use. So you can check to see what these mean and possibly fix them. But the red stop sign exclamation point, these are going to be more important for you to acknowledge before you submit. I would say it's almost a requirement to fix these because it means that there is data that is incomplete or missing. So any incomplete or missing data will cause errors in your report. It will stop you from being in compliance. So these are very important to cover. Let's run through a little bit of these yellow ones. So this one is saying that property has no waste or material meters. So given that it's yellow, it's possible that you don't need to fix it. We don't require waste or material meters to be created. We do require energy and water meters. And so if you're seeing this under your data quality checker, you can go ahead and ignore it because it's not going to trip up any flags. It won't stop you from moving into compliance. So that's something that you can go ahead and disregard. So the gross floor area mismatch, this here is letting us know that there are two different gross floor areas in the account. So we have to go ahead and address those, which we will do in the details tab. And the property type selected does not match the type calculated by Energy Star. So something that can happen is if you when you're creating your Energy Star, you select a property type that isn't relevant to your building. So for instance, I selected medical office, but from all the information entered, it actually, portfolio manager is calculating that, you know what, your building doesn't seem like it's a medical office, it's actually an office. So we have to go ahead and update that on the details tab as well. After we run through these yellow ones in the details tab, we will be going over in the energy tab to fix these red ones here. The first one is that there are gaps in our meter entries, meaning that they're missing days, which we can go ahead and fix. There are meters with overlaps in entries, so there are dates that overlap one another, which cannot happen. So we can go ahead and address those in the meter. And then a very important one is that there is not a 12 full months of meter data. If there's anything ever missing within the 2023 calendar year, if you submit the report with any missing dates, you cannot go into compliance. So we will go ahead and review that as well. But starting off into the details tab, we're going to go ahead and fix a couple things here. The first one being that the square footage do not add up. So one thing here, let's say if you get a flag and you need to update your square footage, it does have to be updated in two locations on the details tab. The first being right here where it says 50,000 square feet, you can go ahead and edit it. So let's say that the building actually is 50,000 square feet and not 48,000. What we're going to do is we're going to update this to 50,000 by using this drop-down menu. We're going to edit use details. And we're going to go ahead and change that to 50,000. Okay, we'll go ahead and save. And as you see here, this exclamation point went away and these matched. So that once we run the data quality checker, that would go away as well. Another important thing to update would be when you go into the use details. Usually when you set up a building, sometimes the person setting it up will select default values as values within their building. But this is something that the Energy Star just makes up for you. So we have to go ahead and deselect these and update the information to what's relevant to your building. So by using a default value, it chose 65 hours as weekly operating hours for me, but I'm going to go ahead and say that the weekly operating hours of this building only go up to 55 hours. If you're ever unsure of what it's asking, you can go ahead and hover over any of the words that are blue and it will describe anything, kind of answer any questions for you. Same here, the number of workers on the main shift, I'm going to go ahead and say deselect this, it's not 115 and actually is only 100. So just make sure that you're deselecting any default values and updating it to as close as possible to what your building is doing. So we're going ahead and save that. Okay. So another thing in the details tab that was under the data quality checker was that the property type was different. So if you see here, the property type that portfolio manager calculated is as an office. And so we need to update this from medical office to office. So we're going to go ahead and click edit. It takes you to this page here. You're going to use this drop down and you're going to find office. Okay. Update property. Perfect. So now as you see, the exclamation point went away on the details tab. We updated both things that were in under our data quality checker. And the last thing on the details tab is we're going to be adding the Miami building ID. So let's say if you did not have your Miami building ID on hand when you created the account, you can always come back to it and add it. So it's going to be under the details tab. Under unique identifiers, we're going to click edit. And then when you're here, you're going to click standard ID city/town. And we're going to find on the drop down Miami building ID. We're going to go ahead and enter the ID. It's going to be the letter M with 5 numbers that follow. If you do not know your building ID, you can always go on our website. We have a building ID lookup tool that can help you locate that ID. Okay, so now that we have gone ahead and updated everything on our details tab, let's move on into the energy tab and troubleshoot anything that's going on here. So as you see, I've created an electric meter and a gas meter. And then on the water tab is where you'll see that there is a water meter created. So you can always check to see if all of that information is there before submitting your report. But under the energy tab, we're going to go ahead and fix any errors that have to do with the meter here. Okay, so this meter is going to have issues of having overlapping days. We cannot have any dates overlap with each other because it's just going to count it as an error. So if you see here, I entered the date to start from January 1st, 2023, and I ended that on 12/12/2023. But then the next month starts in 12/1/2023. So as you can see here, there's an overlap of 12 days. So how you do that is you just have to make sure that the end date and the start date match with each other. So nothing is overlapping. So we're going to go ahead and just update that. We're going to make this end on the 1st. And then as same thing happening for this month, we want this end date to match the start date for March. So we're going to go ahead and make this start on the 1st. And then one more time, what we have here is there is a gap of 3 days. So let's go ahead and make this match. Then we're going to go ahead and edit that, make it start on the 1st. Once you've made all your edits, you can go ahead, save. Oh, I missed one. Okay, so you see how everything else went away, but this one's still showing up. We want this one to be on the 1st as well to make it consistent with the rest of the meter. Let's save. And there we go. So all of the errors have gone away. So if you ever see that, the errors are always going to explain to you what they are and how to address them. So there's no need to panic if this ever happens. Just read through the instructions that are offered for you. If there are ever any questions that you have that you want to follow up with, you can always email the help desk and we can always help you walk through these errors as well. So another one I want to cover is going to be not having 12 months of data. So something that can be that does come up is when you have when you're uploading your data from the utility bills, a lot of the bills start date are mid-month. And so it's very important here that we have 365 days worth of data. So if your month is starting, January 15th, and then you go all the way to the end and it's December 15th. These are 12 entries here. If this is the case, instead of having 12 bills in front of you to upload, you're going to need 14 bills. So what we need to do is make sure that for January, given that there are 15 days missing, we need to add the bill from the very first day, from the previous month. So I'm going to go ahead and add another entry. I'm going to click and make sure that I'm entering 12/15/2022 to 1/15/2023. We want to make sure that this data is entered for the previous month because we can't have any missing information. So let's just go ahead and save this. Right now it's at the bottom, but given that I changed the dates, it's going to save to the very top. So now what I entered here is at the top. This is going to confirm that you have the entire calendar year of 2023 because you added the bill from the previous month. And then same thing for the very end of the year, we need to add one more bill to the end because we're missing 15 days of 2023 at the end. So what we want to do is add that other bill that starts going into 2024. We're going to add whatever the bill says, and we are going to save. This is going to confirm that you have all the days of 2023 in your report. Otherwise, the error when we would submit, it would say that there's no data entered. So just make sure that instead of 12 months, you have 14 months of data to upload. And then lastly, as you can see, there is this bill here. Given that we changed the date, this is the first date of your meter, 12/15/2022. So what you need to do is just update that under basic information. The date the meter became active, I said was the first, but the first bill will be the 15th of 2022 because it became active on the very first meter entry I entered. So we're going to go ahead and save those changes. And then you have to save twice. So you save up here and then you save down here. And now as you can see, all the errors went away. And then when you use this drop down here, you can go ahead and display all the years of data that you have. So that fixes that error for us. So now that I went ahead and I fixed any XDC, the exclamation points went away. What I'm going to do now is go back into my data quality checker. We're going to check for more errors. And hopefully the only one that we want to see is going to be the one that has to do with waste, because that one won't go away since we're not going to be creating a meter. Okay. So this here is the waste one, and then the EUI seems low. So I did, just a heads up, I made up numbers in my meters. And so this would basically my meters were the entries that I made up were really high for the type of building this is. So if your building is saying that your source EUI is low, that means that there was a lot of energy consumption at this, or sorry, very little energy consumption at the building. So my entries weren't high enough. We can go ahead and ignore this because the numbers I made up, they were just made up numbers, so it's not really relevant to my building, which is a made up building. So now that the property has no waste or material, like that's fine. We can go ahead and disregard this one as well. What we are going to do now is submit the report. So after you run your data quality checker, you're going to now go ahead and go into the reporting tab. Like we said in the PowerPoint, each year there is a new reporting link for which you will use. So for this one, it's going to be the 2024 Miami BE305 benchmarking link. What we'll go ahead and do is use this drop down on the reporting tab as well. Just to reiterate, you want to make sure you're on the data request from others tab, which takes you to the table. So now using this 2024 link, we're going to use the drop down and we're going to respond to the data request. Once you are here, this is the page that where you just scroll to the bottom. You're going to select any properties that you want to submit for. So once you select, I only want to submit for the one Miami building that I have. You're going to apply your selections and then you're going to generate a response preview. Okay, so that you'll go down, it takes you back to the reporting tab. Make sure you're still on the data request from others tab. As you can see here, the 2024 link, it is generating a response preview. We wanted to finish generating. So if this is happening, just go ahead and refresh the page. Once you refresh it, it will say your response preview has been generated. Right here, no errors found. Now, this is very important. When this says generated, this does not mean you submitted your report. There is one more step. It's a common error. People think they have submitted the report, but they haven't. Generating your response just means it's refreshing all the information in your account to make sure no errors are found. Because if there are errors found, for instance, here, you have to go ahead and fix those errors before actually submitting the report. So the last step to submitting is you're going to use the dropdown one more time. And as you can see, you have more options that come up. To submit, you will send response. Once you're on this finalized page here, you will go ahead and click I hereby certify that I'm releasing data about my properties to the city of Miami. We're going to go ahead and e-sign the response as a signature here. And then the very last thing you'll do is you'll send data. My report has now been submitted, which takes a few minutes every year. If you just upload your information into your meters from the previous calendar year, then you can go ahead and come to the reporting tab and submit your report. So going back to our PowerPoint. There are two things you can expect after submitting. So when you submit, the city receives those reports overnight. So the following day, you're going to be receiving one of two emails. The first one is could be if your building is in compliance, meaning you submitted an error-free report. It's been approved by the city and no further action is needed from you. This is going to be an example of a compliance email that you can be receiving the following day after submitting your report. Or you can receive an email saying that your report is pending revisions. So if your report contains any errors, missing information, or exhibits a drastic change in usage when compared to previous year's data, then the following day after submitting your report, you'll be receiving a pending revisions email. To bring your building into compliance, you either have to read through the email. Well, for sure, read through the email. That's a common thing. The email will most likely walk you through how to fix the errors in your report. If there are any changes made in your Energy Star after fixing those errors, just please resubmit the report so the system can receive the updated information, and then you can hopefully receive that compliance email the following day. Or if you receive a pending revisions email and everything in your report is correct, there's nothing to update and resubmit for, then you can provide an explanation to the help desk. You can just respond to the email. We'll receive that. Just providing any type of explanation that has to do with whatever the error is. the help desk will go ahead and bypass the flag for you and will manually move your building into compliance. So those are the two options of emails you can receive the following day. If you haven't received any emails, just please be sure to check your spam or junk folder, because those emails typically end up there. If not, you can always email the help desk and we'll send you your errors email or compliance email to just confirm any information with you. These are some resources here, link to our website, our help desk email and phone number. Our how-to guide walks you through all of the benchmarking steps needed. We also have how-to videos that will walk you through all those steps as well. And then if you feel like your building is up qualifying for an exemption, we have the exemption form linked as well. We're sending this PowerPoint to all of you guys, so you'll have links to all of this. But what we recommend is going through all of the helpful resources on benchmark305.com that can walk you through the whole benchmarking process. So I want to just leave this. Thank you guys for listening and leave this moment up for any questions. If you have questions, you can unmute yourself and ask, or in the chat, however you feel fit. I am seeing one, and let's open up the chat here.
That was me just putting in the
Oh,
website. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I don't see any questions on here.
Okay. Well, if there are no further questions, then thank you guys for listening. Like I said, our website has a bunch of useful resources. We will have a benchmark 101 coming up. You can sign up for if you have any anything you want to cover on the beginner status of it all. Like I said, we have videos, and I have two guide PDF file. And then also our help desk. If you give us a call or email us, we'll go ahead and walk you through anything that you need assistance with.